Catch up on where we left off the previous day. We left Belgrade and spent a nice long day riding into a Tara National Park, met some great people and then saw some great places and eventually stayed overnight near Zauvine Lake.
Good morning. We are at a place called Zavoine. Some of these names are so difficult to pronounce. I'm not even sure whether I'm saying it right, but it's a lovely morning here. We are about 200 kilometers south of Belgrade in the Tara National Park. We are heading towards Montenegro, and just to give you an idea of what this place looks like, it's really stunning because we are right in a valley of a couple of mountains, and the valley drops down into a lake.
That's the Zauvine Lake.
We're at a little cottage, and it's the serenity here, the peace is really hard to believe. It's in the middle of a small grove of I don't know what. These are fruit trees for sure, but we don't know what they are, in the shadow of a lovely mountain. And we have to ride down quite steep climb to get this far. But it's a beautiful little cottage, and just to give you an idea of what the surroundings look like. And here is this side of the cottage, wherein we have a small place to sit and chill outside, and then there is an opening from here as well that goes into so there's a small little place here for a barbecue and things like that. And of course you go into the cottage. It's got stairs going up into the bedrooms, and you've got a place here for your stuff, which is pretty scattered around at the moment, and a small kitchen. But it's a lovely place to be in, very peaceful, and I think I would strongly recommend that if anybody comes in here, it should be for at least 3 or 4 days, because although there's not much to do other than trek and walk around and enjoy nature, it is still a really, really beautiful place to switch off from everything else and then get back to nature and to, I think, connect with the people around you with whom you come here. So there's this beautiful lake down here at the bottom. We'll see more of that later. Bye for now.
Leaving a very peaceful cottage behind, we now make our way towards Zauvine Lake, the lake proper. So we have to take some narrow roads that climb back to the main road from where we had descended down into the little valley where we were staying last night. And we went all around the local area also just to see what the riding there is like. And we really loved and enjoyed the beautiful cornering around the narrow roads. Finally, we make our way up to the main road, and then we find that there are a couple of small restaurants here. They are mostly open during the peak tourist season only, because there are not a lot of people who come here during the off-season hours, which is winter. And then we make our way towards the lake proper. Zauvine Lake is an artificial lake built somewhere towards the end of the 70s and early 80s. This is on the Beliraz River, made by damming one of the tributaries of the Drina River called the Razav. They made a 400 odd feet high dam, and an artificial lake was made. So this works as a reservoir for the Bainabasta hydroelectric project. I think we went there yesterday. And it is connected to the Drina River. So the local village around these is a small village of Zauvine, mainly with houses that are for tourists and summer homes for people in Belgrade, or I think wealthier people who own a second home here. But a lot of them are let out, especially the ones that have got some nice views that overlook the main Zauvine Lake. We head by the side of the lake and try to find a way down towards the bottom or somewhere close to where we can access the lake. And we find that these are all off the tarmac. So we start heading off into the rather narrow country roads, and the road turns pretty bad on us slowly. But as we keep going on, we keep looking for a place to go down, but we don't find much of it. There are some camper vans and all that have been left there by the locals. I think they live here sometimes during summer, and you find them scattered all around the lakeside. And then we head on further, and then we find that we just can't make it down, but we get some great views of the lake from a different angle. So it was well worth the trip. So we enjoyed that and then head back again onto the main road, which forms the road that connects from one side of the lake to the other across the dam. And then we see the places where we can actually walk down. We park our vehicle here and we walk down towards the water. And there are people, I think, in summer they use this to bathe and generally enjoy a weekend by the lake. So we quite enjoy the views here. There are some fish farms, there are commercial fish farms that are out here inside the lake. So we can see them from the top. So we just go down there and then come back, and it's really beautiful looking over to both sides of the dam. This is the Zaovine Lake.
And the lake is on the other side of this bridge. But this is a stunning landscape around it. And this is the bridge that goes across the lake. And here we are onto the lake. There's some commercial fish farming here. So what you see here, I think, fish farms. But all around the lake, they've got lovely little small houses here and there, and it's beautiful. So here we are from southern Serbia, and on the road with our bikes.
After leaving Zaovine Lake, we now make our way towards Mokra Gora. These are also part of the Tara National Park, so it's very much lovely scenery all around. The roads are very narrow, but there is hardly any traffic on this. And because these are mostly internal roads where there are small scattered villages here and there, but mainly these are used by people who are either tourists who are traveling by road through the park, or maybe very few of the locals who are going across for their own business of the day. So it's really very nice riding through this. We ride very slow, but enjoying the scenery that is unfolding all around us. So for some time there are pine forests, and then we pass through that, and then it suddenly opens up into very rich and lush meadows with scattered village houses all around on both sides. We stop somewhere and then we meet some fellow riders, some people from Slovenia who are riding across, and then we exchange hellos and phone numbers and all that, and then we carried on. Then we come across some beautiful scenery across some meadows, and then we stop here for a while.
And good morning. It's around 8:30 in the morning. We are on our way from
Zaovine Lake
in the Tara National Park to a place called Mokra Gora. Mokra Gora is kind of popular on the tourist circuit because that is where they have the Sargan 8 railway, which is a small 1-hour railway track that goes on a 1-hour trip from Mokra Gora on a touristy kind of a rail trip, which is similar to the Kalka Shimla Mail, but this is just purely for back and forth for a 3-hour trip. So, and another thing about Mokra Gora is it's also a very popular point to enter the Tara National Park, and people use that as a jump-off point. This is really lovely. We are going through some meadows and pine forests, a part of the national park, and it cuts right through. So it's really stunning. The distance is roughly about 45 kilometers from where we started this morning to Mokra Gora, which is around another 25 kilometers from here. But we just stopped because it's such lush meadow and beautiful scenery all around. So yeah, it's mind-blowing really.
We continue on to Mokra Gora and eventually reach there. And the highlight of the whole town is the Sargan 8 railroad station and a cluster of houses and vacation or holiday homes and a restaurant all around the railway station. this is the Sargon 8 railway. The engine here, I think it runs on both a steam engine as well as a diesel engine. So they have this train that goes up for an hour and a half. It's called the Sargon 8 because it forms a 8 loop, like a figure of 8, and then goes through a few tunnels and then comes back. Built, I think, somewhere in the early 19th century, 20th century. It is supposed to have been a nice touristy showcase railway track. Well, here you have a few nice restaurants and a place to sit. And it's a beautiful place to just come with a family for a day and just relax while you spend time, maybe about an hour or two on the train. This is a diesel locomotive that is pulling the passenger cars, just about 3 or 4 cars. Very early 19th century look to the whole thing. I wonder what these look like from the inside. Some of these cars have got straps inside on the seats. Yeah, look at the seats. I'm not sure what the straps are for, but the leather straps. Hello. How much is the ticket, please?
1,000.
For the trip up and back, back and forth. Yeah. So it's
and come back here.
1.5 hours up there and then 1.5 hours back.
2 hours and 20 minutes.
All together.
All together.
Yeah. Okay. How much is the stop? What's the name of the stop there?
5 stop.
Okay. Then what's the last one? The last stop where it and then it turns around and.
20 minutes.
Okay. So the 20 minutes is at the last point.
Yes, last.
There's a restaurant there.
Yes, you
Oh,
have restaurant.
Very nice. What's the name of the place?
Yatare.
Yatare. Okay. Thank you very much. So Mokragora to Yatare, about a 2-hour trip. Round trip 2 hours 20 minutes. A 20-minute stop in Yatare, and it's 1,000 dinar, which is roughly about what, $10 or so, $10-11. We are lucky to catch the train that is running on the steam engine. We board the train for the trip and then we get to see some nice views of Mokragora village as we go along on the train. It passes through a few tunnels and then stops at a couple of stations. This is the train station called Yatare that the lady at the ticket counter was talking about. From here, the train continues on to the final station, which is called Vitasi, Sargon Vitasi. And then we spend about 20 minutes there, and then we board the train to get back to Mokragora itself. The other highlight of Mokragora is this place called Drevengrad. It is also called as Mechavnik. This is a small traditional village that is made of timber. I think Dravengrad means timber town. So this has been set up by a film director, Serbian film director called Emir Kusturica. And he built it actually for a film that he made, which is called Life is a Miracle, which was, I think, shown at Cannes and won some awards for Best Foreign Language Film. So this one is a really cute little village, more like a museum now. It has got places where people can stay overnight. So it's like a hotel also, and there are restaurants. There is a theatre here as well. It is named after Stanley Kubrick, the famous Hollywood director. And there are movie screenings here. It's quite a nice place to spend some time. It costs about 250 dinars to get in, and it's good for about a couple of hours. You can wander around, see what life in a traditional Serbian village would have been like back maybe about a couple of hundred years ago. It's quite an experience. We spent some time wandering around here, and then finally we left and headed towards Zlatibor, which is our next destination. We finally reached Zlatibor, which is a town which is going to be our rest stop for tonight. And it's a very popular touristy town in the south of Serbia. It's a good escape in summer for people from Belgrade, where it gets very warm. And it is also a good place for people for skiing during winter. Zlatibor's claim to fame also is that it has one of the longest gondola ski lifts in the world. So it is at a place called the Tornik Ski Resort. It is quite nice and cool here now. On top of it, the town is also very cute. It's got a nice town square where there is a stage where on weekends you see some performances, mostly people from around the high schools or even younger children, or even sometimes music programs and so on. And it becomes very active here during the weekends with people coming from different parts of Serbia. So we are going to be staying overnight here and going to be enjoying our evening here. And we will move on from here on towards the Montenegrin border from tomorrow. So bye-bye from Zlatibor, and don't forget to share and subscribe for more videos.